If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, let me give you a rundown. Basically, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Here how it's work. Anchor lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to the most popular listening platforms, including Spotify, with a single tap. Anchor is also the only place you can publish video podcasts to Spotify. With Anchor, creators can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And the amount that you can upload on Anchor is unlimited, which is really helpful for me. And it also helps you with getting statistics for your podcast in terms of where people are listening from, so that you know how many people listen to your podcast all over the world.
Hi, I am Jennifer Purcell, and welcome to my podcast, Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge, where we will discuss, discover, and learn more about the challenges and triumphs of those with NLD and other learning challenges. I do have a website for this podcast, and it is called livingwithnld.com. I also have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter account for the podcast. They are all under the same name, which is Living with NLD. I also have a YouTube channel for the podcast, which can be found by Googling the title of the podcast, which is Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge. I would like to tell you about a nonprofit that I use for my research for this podcast. It is called the NLD Project, and I use their blog for my research. They are a nonprofit that is based in New York and is trying to get NVLD back on the DSM, and they provide many resources for people with NVLD on their website. I'll provide you with the website for them in the podcast description. All proceeds from the ads on this podcast will be donated towards the NVLD project. Please feel free to explore the other topics on the podcast, and hopefully you will learn something new from them. I hope you enjoy today's episodes.
And today I am very excited to announce that BetterHelp is now sponsoring this podcast. I have had 7 years of therapy, so I know it can help change your life if you not only let it, but work on the personal goals that you set with your therapist. Without a healthy mind, being truly happy and at peace is hard. The good news is therapy works. But what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now and would like some tools to help. Or maybe you're feeling insecure in relationships at work, not dealing well with stress. Whatever you need, it's time to stop being ashamed of normal human struggles and start feeling better, because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are the greatest asset. And special offering to listeners of Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge. You can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/ I'll put in the link in the podcast description for you. That's BetterHelp, HELEP. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast. I also want to mention to you that I just launched my podcast swag on Wednesday of this week and have a page for it on my website, and I will also send you the link to it in the podcast description, and I will also send it to you in the newsletter that I usually send out on Fridays. I am now selling t-shirts, water bottles, and a backpack, and they all have the podcast logo and title on it and the tagline. So I am looking forward to watching the sales and seeing who buys them, and spreading the word more about my podcast.
The next Facebook chat will be in August, and it will be on the 20th at 10 a.m. Pacific time zone to 11:30 a.m. Pacific time zone, and that it is a safe space for you to talk about anything you would wish to and your challenges with NLD. Hope to see you there. All right, happy Friday. So today's episode will be about possible career choices with NLD. Sorry, I'm trying to find my script. All right, so have you ever wondered what kind of career or job is good or easy for someone with NLD, or if they are neurodivergent? In my opinion, a slow, moderate pace job, one with low to medium demands, and one where you can be yourself is the right one for neurodivergence. And the pace matters because of neurodivergence being slower processors than neurotypicals. A job that helps us process tasks and demands at our own speed will help us do them more easily. I also think it's more fun to do a job that isn't high demand because it's usually not as stressful. What I mean by high demand is one that requires a lot for you to do, or is kind of hard for me to describe, but has more higher expectations of you, or has you working in different areas. Now, of course, I work in a lot of different areas at my job, but I enjoy it because even though it is high demand, I'm able to work at my own pace. And because I work in a lot of different areas, I'm never bored of what I do. And it's because I work with my parents, it's also easier for me to get my tasks done, and to improve myself and my job and be able to learn from my mistakes. Also, it might be helpful for you to tell your employer that you have NLD or are a neurodivergent, because then you can try to help it. Sorry, then they can try to help you when you run into challenges. And it might also be helpful to work with an organization or employer that is familiar with learning disabilities or neurodivergent challenges. That way you don't have to spend so much time trying to explain to them how to be helpful for you. For me, like I was saying earlier, I have the perfect job for myself. I can manage the demand level, and I have people that can assist me with the challenges that may arise. And like I said, I also have a variety of projects that I can work on, so I don't find myself bored by going through the same routine every single day. Um, and my parents are really good at helping me, like I said earlier, as well. They, because they know how to describe things to me and they know how to give me feedback, constructive feedback on how I can improve on things. And they try to give me clear directions on things so that they so that's easier for me to do my tasks and be able to understand what they're asking for and what they need from me. You know, I think being able to describe instructions are very good. It's a very good skill for somebody to have, and it can be very challenging um, when you are neurotypical to try to describe things to a neurodivergent. Um, so I also think it's good to do a job or career that you will enjoy doing, because then it will never feel like work for you. It will feel like something fun and that you're passionate about. This is why I like my job, because I love helping my parents and people in general. I love helping anybody in any way I can. Um, and that's also why I love doing this podcast, because I get to help people that are like me live an easier life. Um, and I can help neurotypicals learn more about neurodivergence and how they can help understand um, what it's like to be us and socialize with them better. And so, enough about me. Here's a quote from an article that is titled Down in the Trenches My Life with NLD and Asperger's by Rick Shevix. I think is how you say his last name. Quote, but my problems began after college when I tried to earn a living. I moved back to the Boston area, though this time I lived in the city. I have had more jobs than just about everyone else, it seems. The longest I have lasted at one job is just over a year and a half. My average length of employment in a job is a whooping 6 months. I got fired from many temp jobs I thought were beneath me because I have a college degree. I flunked out of jobs such as political campaign work, sales, customer service, and various clerical jobs. I could not keep up with the paperwork. My biggest job success has been in accounts payable, um, but even there, I was isolated from the other people and occasionally screwed things up like the check runs. I was having these problems even when there was a real labor shortage. When the economy tanked, I was in real trouble, end quote. So I can relate to Rick because I have had many jobs since I started working after graduating from college. I went through about 5 jobs in 1 year. I wasn't able to keep them for many reasons, including that they didn't know about me having NLD. They weren't consistently full time. They, uh, I had too many cancellations from clients, and I had to create my own schedule. So, for me, I was working with people with autism as their life coach or with ABA therapy for children with autism. I did enjoy this work since I know what it's like to be a neurodivergent and I could empathize with these individuals. And many times I felt, I don't want to say sorry because that's not really the right word. I felt empathetic for them because I know what it's like to be different and to not have a brain that works normally, in quotes, um, and to feel like, you can't, sometimes you can't control your outbursts, and you're, you're sorry that you can't do that, but you know that that's true for yourself, and you sometimes you feel guilty about it afterwards. And I know for me that's definitely true. Um, and basically, for me, the reason that those jobs didn't work were because they weren't full time, um, and they didn't have a pre-structured schedule. I had to make the schedule up on my own in terms of when I started work and when I ended work. And because of that, I think that made it easier for clients to cancel on me and for it not to be full time, because it was challenging to find a replacement for that exact time slot that you originally had with that client. Um, so, I mean, if the jobs were full time and if they had had a set schedule, it'd been easier for me to keep them longer. And if they had known about me having NLD and were able to work with me on my challenges and help me succeed with them, and being able to, you know, help me with the challenges that I had, which um, some of the challenges I had were trying to work through the different ABA programs because they had many steps in them, so they were complicated, and it was hard to remember all those steps. And I also had to chart data, and if you are neurodivergent or you have NLD, you will understand what I'm saying. Never have somebody who has NLD work on a chart. They're just going to mess it up because it's a visual spatial thing, I think. That's the reason. And it's, it's hard to do that for us. So back to the jobs that are good for people who are neurodivergent. So jobs that can be good are writing, art, graphic design, programming, farming, and small business, ones with small business owners, or you being the owner yourself. These make sense to me because I do like to do creative writing and being creative in general. I don't like academic writing. I also like helping people with tech support, like creating a podcast, designing a website, or learning new things on their iPhone, computer, or iPad. I like doing tech things because I feel proud teaching someone the things I taught myself how to do with minimal help from others. I like being able to teach others because then I learn more about how to teach myself. And then I also know how to teach them better in the future. Um, I also like being able to help people because it makes me feel good to do it. I want to make their life easier because I know what it's like to have a challenging life. It's easier if your life is, is easier for you to get through and easier for you to live, because then you will be able to enjoy it more. I know that was a little repetitive. Um, I hope that you were able to learn something about what you could do for the rest of your life in this episode and be able to enjoy it. That way you can have fun with doing your career rather than feel like it's a chore. If you enjoy your career, then you will be able to have a more enjoyable and stress-free life. At least that's what I think. You will also be able to have a more pleasant day and experience with others. It would also be good to let your employer know that you about your challenges, even if you are neurotypical, because if you are anxious or experiencing PTSD, then they can help you move through it. Also, tell them about being a neurodivergent if that applies to you, so they can help you with those challenges, with your own personal challenges that usually arise. Only tell them about private things when you are ready to, though. Don't rush yourself. Make sure you're comfortable with doing it. And, if you're not comfortable, I would say wait and until you are, and be able to, you know, um, do it when you're comfortable, and do it when you can describe to them what challenges you have in a nice, clear way that they will hopefully understand and be able to help you with those challenges that you may have in the work world. And as I wrap up, I would like to have you think about different jobs that you would enjoy in your career life. If you don't already have one that you enjoy, maybe you are already in that place in your life and you enjoy your job and you're able to have fun, or at least enjoy some aspects of it. So yeah, I hope that that this got your mind thinking about, okay, these are some things that I can do in my life for a career. And maybe there were some other ones that I didn't mention that you thought of yourself when I said something. But there are definitely many careers out there that you can do. And you could even create your own job and make it easier for you because you create something that you're good at and you can do easily because you know yourself better than most people do. And therefore, you're able to know how to help yourself, and you're able to create something that you will have a passion for doing.
And today I am very excited to announce that BetterHelp is now sponsoring this podcast. I have had 7 years of therapy, so I know it can help change your life if you not only let it, but work on the personal goals that you set with your therapist. Without a healthy mind, being truly happy and at peace is hard. The good news is therapy works. But what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now and would like some tools to help. Or maybe you're feeling insecure in relationships at work, not dealing well with stress. Whatever you need, it's time to stop being ashamed of normal human struggles and start feeling better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's more affordable than in person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are the greatest asset. And special offering to listeners of Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge. You can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/. I'll put in the link in the podcast description for you. That's BetterHelp, HELEP. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast.
As I wrap up, there are some things I would like to share with you. I do have a website for this podcast. It is called livingwithnld.com. I also have a Facebook and Instagram page for this podcast. It is called Living with NLD. I will include the links for those in the description. In conclusion, I would like to hear from my audience. If you know individuals with NLD that I could interview for this podcast, please email me at livingwithnld@gmail.com. What are you interested in learning about NLD? I know I'm not an expert, but I do know I have the living experience of having it. I would like you to practice journaling about your gifts and differences. Also, see if there is a way that you can make that difference become easier for you to do than it originally was. Thank you for listening today, and please go to my YouTube channel and subscribe to it. Thank you. Bye.